Web3 Gaming Interviews with Regina.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here in our Web3 gaming segment. So to start, could you please introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Luke. I'm the founder of Pixels. Pixels is one of the largest Web3 games by DAU and by revenue. And a lot of the work that we're trying to do at Pixels is we're trying to solve this new concept of play to earn and make it sustainable.
Thank you. It's nice to virtually meet you. So could you please share a bit about your background and how you get involved in the Web3 gaming?
Yeah, so my background is more of like a deep tech background. I started coding when I was really young, like 12 years old. And I actually started making video games when I was like 12 years old, which is funny because I didn't think I would actually go into making games. But yeah, I ended up in Web3 actually from a different type of business. I started a startup a little young. I started like basically a year after I left college. I started a company that was kind of doing virtual events and virtual spaces. I built a product that was kind of competing with this product out there called Gather.town. I experimented with like a bunch of stuff, but basically it was like a Web2 metaverse product where what we were trying to do is we were trying to find better ways for people to meet and gather online. And that business was, an interesting business during COVID. What we found is when COVID ended, people didn't really want to meet online in the same way anymore. They would rather meet up in person. And we basically pivoted that tech into Web3. I'm more like the scrappy startup founder like archetype where I want to build something that works. And my interests lie around like economics and tech. And that's where Web3 gaming is actually a really great fit. Web3 gaming has so many economic problems, and really Web3 gaming is still early enough where the problems really are like higher level economic problems. Like how do you actually make a Web3 game work? How do you make it be sustainable? How do you build out game economy, incentive design, all of this? It's a really cool problem set. So yeah, Axie Infinity is probably the project that inspired me to move into Web3 gaming when that old product wasn't working. And it just kind of clicked from there. It's something that's super cool. I love it. The tech is awesome. The problem set's awesome.
I see. That's very interesting. A startup or journey of yours, Luke. Okay, so for next, could you please share the inspiration of the creation of Pixels?
Yeah, so it's funny. I wouldn't have labeled myself as a gamer so much. But there were a few games that like I kind of fell in love with. One was I grew up playing RuneScape, and that was like all of my childhood. I think from like 8 to like 16, 17 years old. I grew up there. I don't know what else to say, but I learned a lot. So I have like a deep MMO experience because of that, and just from like my own personal gaming perspective. And then the games that I play now, it's interesting. I never really I'm not into MOBAs. I'm not into like League of Legends. I'm not into like any of that type of game or first-person shooters. I'm like actually so bad at most first-person shooters. So the games I play are more chill. Like I love walking simulators. One of my favorite games is Death Stranding, or like Watch is another game that's kind of in that category. And another game I fell in love with was Stardew Valley. Funny enough, I am really interested in farming in real life, and I love farming games. Like I actually played Farm Simulator for a while too. That's one where you like actually drive like real tractors in the game, and it's like there's barely any game to it. You're actually like going out and being a farmer. But Stardew Valley is probably what gave Pixels the most inspiration and led to like kind of what we're doing here. So I like to think about Pixels like the core game right now as a mix of Stardew Valley and like RuneScape. It's like Stardew Valley if it was an MMO. But a lot of what we're doing at Pixels is also bigger than just building like a single game. As we started building a game, we also realized there's still a lot of other things to build to make a Web3 game work. And right now, if I'm channeling any inspiration, I'm actually channeling a ton of inspiration from like the App Suppliers, the App 11s of the world. Basically, these are game companies that realized it was really hard to grow their own games. They built out their own ways to grow games, and then they started selling products too, and they became like giant companies. Zynga is also like a company I take a ton of inspiration from. But yeah, how I view what we're doing is like basically every game company that grows to be like a giant success, what they did was they kind of figured out a new way to acquire users and like some kind of UA innovation. And that's where the Web3 stuff is for us too.
Yeah, correct. And also interesting. So I think you have the green thumb too, Look.
A little bit,
real life.
Yeah, no, I worked on some farms before in real life. I helped give birth to a cow. It's a magical experience. More people should do it. I don't think you should be able to build a farm game if you never actually worked on a farm. That's a controversial take.
Amazing. I do believe that in gaming is also the extension of yours in the personal life. So for next, Luke, by the way, thank you for sharing that. And And yeah, how do you describe the game to someone new to Web3 gaming? So to simplify, what is Pixels to new gamers or new players?
Yeah, basically, I like to describe Web3 gaming as like a new type of game where when you play a game,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually giving up a lot of stuff to that game, right? The game
Yeah.
is you're having fun from the game, but the game is also like earning money off of you through a couple different ways, right? Like it can either be selling you stuff or it can be selling your data. And
Yeah.
you get nothing out of that from being a gamer. And Web3 gaming and Pixels, what we're trying to figure out is like a more fair way to build game companies, basically, where users are also rewarded for the time, the effort, and the data that they give to a game.
Mm-hmm.
And what we can do is some really cool things like that. We can actually reward users directly with tokens for
Yeah.
going out and playing the game and doing certain things. And that adds a lot of interesting secondary effects where the game is like a nice, sweet, simple farm game, right? And if you
Yeah.
just want to relax and enjoy your time, you can totally do that. But because we do
Mhm.
rewards in the game too, it opens up a whole nother piece of game economy that might not exist in a normal game like that. Like there's real trading
Yeah.
inside of the game.
Yes.
The decisions that you make matter a little bit more. And it just makes the game more fun.
Yeah, it's add spice, right?
Mhm.
The Web3 twist. Thank you about that, Luke. Okay, can you also share, Luke, what were the biggest challenges your team faced while developing the game? I know developing a game is really ain't easy. So
Yeah,
along the journey,
I mean, making games is really hard, right? And making games that
Yeah.
people love at scale is very hard. And what we like to do is Web3 is all about community, right? And it's all about like rewarding early users. So we build in public, we build with our users. I've done a weekly AMA with our community for over 3 years now. I think I maybe have missed 2, which is kind of
Mhm.
crazy. So that means the community gets to see all the things that go well, and they get to be a part of that. And they get to help us with that, and they also get to see all the things that go wrong in a game company too, which is a little
Yeah.
difficult sometimes, but it's also like a fun aspect of it. They get to see how the
Mhm.
sausage is made, basically, and they actually get to really influence how the game is made, which is an awesome part of being a player of Pixels right now. But yeah, a lot of the hard work that we're doing is around reward distribution, and that's kind of where the core tech at Pixels lies. What we're trying
Mhm.
to figure out is a way to make play to earn sustainable. And in order to do
Yes.
that, there's a couple things that you need to think about. You need to think about one, is the
Mhm.
game fun and would it monetize like it would in Web 2? Like that's the like absolute baseline that you need, which is hard to do that. Like it's not easy to make a fun game that people want to pay for.
Yes.
And then the second part is if you're giving out rewards, how do you give them out to the right people? And how do you know what the rewards are actually doing inside of the game? And that's where a lot of the core focus on the tech has been at Pixels. And the really interesting stuff, we're talking a lot about this metric called return on reward spend. It's a metric that we're kind of pioneering that is analogous to return on ad spend, right?
Yeah.
The key problem that we're trying to figure out is when we give a reward to a user, what does
Yes.
it do for the ecosystem? And can we actually build a sustainable or profitable model with rewards where players still get rewarded and the
Yeah.
game does even better than it would in Web 2?
Yeah, thank you. So I guess this next question is related. You know, Pixels has a massive player base. I'm referring to the million players. So what do you think the key to building such a strong community?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is our openness with the community. You know, we show up every single week and we answer questions with the community, whether it's going well or whether it's going poorly, right? There's
Yeah,
some weeks where I don't want to go out into the AMAs because I know that we did a bad update or we did something the players don't like and I'm going to have to answer them. And it's hard. It's really hard, but that also builds a lot of trust with players too, and it gives us some grace as well.
Mhm.
So that's a really big important thing. Being transparent and honest with your community, giving them a peek into how things are built, that
Mhm.
goes so far. And I think more Web 2 developers should do that. The reason they don't is just because it's very hard. And then, yeah, the other thing too is like making sure that you're rewarding the right people is really important too, because you can accidentally reward people if you're giving out rewards that don't really care about what you're building and
Yes.
aren't actually aligned in the long term. And they're going to want your rewards very badly. They might even be mad at you for not giving you them.
Correct.
But actually picking out like the true believers and actually picking out who the right people to reward are is very difficult, but so important.
Yeah. Yes, I do agree with that. I do believe that the success of any services or product always refers to the community. So kudos to and being a great listener to your players. And yeah, the next one, Luke. This one is very controversial or very hot question. So how do you see AI shaping the future of Web3 gaming, and is your team open for that integration?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what a lot of people don't see is AI agents are getting really good at playing games, which is good and bad for a game, right? Now,
Yeah.
if you're giving out rewards to a user, you want to probably give them out to real users, right? That's very important to make that distinction because
Mm-hmm.
what is the goal of a game? Like, the goal of the game is to provide a great product that users love and they're willing to like eventually spend money on so the game can go and make revenue and profit, right? The issue
Yes.
is like some of this AI agent stuff, they're not the best intentions sometimes, right? Like some of these AI
Yes.
agents want to just take money from rewards or like break games. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the balance that you have to work with. I'm really bullish on eventually a solution like WorldCoin or something like that, if that actually ever like works and gets like a bit more traction than it has.
Mm-hmm.
But there needs to be something with like the real user identification there, and that's maybe where this AI agent stuff and the like gaming stuff come into like together in, because there's a lot of fake content on the internet right now. It's not just a
Yes.
Web3 problem, but it's all over. Like Twitter and Reddit and YouTube, like all of those are very botted by AI agents, and it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference between an agent and a real person, and that matters.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that very insightful information of yours, Luke. Okay. I believe because Luke, I personally played Pixels and created an article regarding to your Web3 game, if I'm not mistaken, last year. So yeah. When I start playing the Pixels, you guys just recently shift to Ronin network. Can you please provide further details why you guys shift and why you choose Ronin unlike or other network?
Yeah, so Ronin and Axie Infinity were the only other Web3 game besides Pixels, and they came first to actually have scaled to real users, right?
Yeah.
Axie and Pixels are the only games that have hit 1 million daily active addresses still. And yeah, I knew, even though Ronin wasn't maybe as strong as it had been before, that there were still a lot of people that really loved Axie. And there were still a lot of people that were already onboarded into the Ronin ecosystem. And even now, like, Axie's been through a lot, but there are still people that love Axie, which is amazing. Like, it's really hard to build that fandom, and that's so valuable. And I knew I wanted to work with them for that reason. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on Web3 gaming that aren't actually building Web3 games. And, you get a lot of wisdom from actually being in the arena and actually building your own game. And I wanted to work with another team that had already built a Web3 game before and actually knew what they were talking about. Because I was so sick of getting advice from all these people who had all the right ideas on what to do in Web3 gaming, but they never built their own Web3 game. So really, they had no idea what they were talking about. Axie Infinity and RuneScape, they know they had built a game before and they know all the challenges that come with it, and they're a great partner to work with. They had users on the chain already, and it clearly was a really good partnership for both of us.
I see. Okay, I do believe because Axie already proves his worth, their worth, because they're one of the top or best performer for selling billion of NFTs. Yeah, way back pandemic days. So yeah. I think it's also a great strategy for Pixels. So Web3 gaming look is still in its early stages. So in your perspective, do you see where this industry heading in the future or looking forward to?
We're getting closer. Yeah, I still think people don't understand Web3 gaming is a little bit earlier than people want it to be as well. I mean, the reason is we had to rebuild the whole Web2 stack, right? So Web3 gaming, it's a whole new UA play, basically, or like user acquisition play. So there was a whole new stack that we had to build out around user acquisition. There was a whole new infrastructure stack too. I think the infrastructure was only really ready to handle Web3's gaming scale maybe like about a year and a half ago. But before that, the blockchains literally could not handle Web3 games. Like, we broke Polygon several times when we were on Polygon. Now the tech is better and the tech can handle the infrastructure side, and like there's teams like Pirate Nation building like free play and like some cool on-chain infra. That part is getting more solved. Now there's teams like us that are kind of figuring out the UA channels and figuring out new ways to grow games. And once these things are kind of there and situated, then the games teams who are like amazing at building great games can use these tools that people like Ronin, Pirate Nation, and Pixels have built. So the whole point now is like, there's still a lot of experimentation to actually get Web3 gaming to where it needs to get. I think it's closer. I think in the next year or two, you're going to start to see like real breakout hits using kind of like a super stack of all the tech that like all of us have been building out. Like, the goal of all of us early in Web3 gaming should be to make it easier for Web2 game devs to come into Web3, right? We want to build the rails for them. We want to make it so that they have a very easy time building like amazing hits in Web3 gaming because it's good for all of us. If there's more people building Web3 games that hit even harder, but there's
I
still
see.
some time.
You know, personally, when I check the Twitter news, most that Web2 developers from the traditional game developers, they are now shifting to Web3 games. Yeah. So,
Which is great. Yeah.
yes. So, yeah, personally, I'm so excited what is heading us to Web3. Yes. Okay. So, I think we're almost there. For the next question, look, where our audience or your audience can follow your project and stay updated.
Our project Twitter is pixels_online. The website is pixels.xyz. We have a lot of cool things coming out in the next couple of months. Stay tuned. We're going for like a little bit bigger of an ecosystem play. We're going to see some other projects use the Pixel token soon. It'll be a fun couple months.
Regarding to the updates, could you please also share more details about the upcoming features or updates that your players and the incoming players can look forward to?
Yeah, we're still updating the game basically every single week. And we have some cool features that are coming out. We have this big feature called merchant ships that we've been working on for a while, which is like a new gameplay mechanic and it's adding more end game to the game. And then we're also doing a lot of work on the ecosystem side. So there's gonna be a lot more like pixel token utility. Like staking is gonna be releasing soon, where you're gonna be able to stake pixel. And we're doing something really cool and novel there. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but follow because it's actually very different than normal staking protocol. And the other thing too is you're gonna actually start to see more publishing deals come out. So more games are gonna start to use the pixel token in their game. And they might even use some of our tech to help them give out rewards to the right users, which is going to be really cool when that happens. So yeah, basically Pixel will work across like multiple titles and be a little bit bigger than just core pixels.
I see. And by the way, to new users, can you share what is the specific token you guys are using for pixels?
Yeah, the token is Pixel, $Pixel, Pixel.
Pixels. Under Ronin.
It's on Ronin, it's on ETH, it's listed on Binance.
Okay, I see. Okay. So for the last one, look, do you have any final message that you can share to your community, to the new players that haven't tried playing the pixels?
Yeah, I mean, play the game. It's really fun and it's getting better and better every month. The cool part about pixels is you can be rewarded just for playing the game. We give out tokens inside of the game to users who do certain actions or who get through the game in certain levels. It's a magical moment. The first moment that you earn a pixel token, it kind of clicks in your head that all this Web3 gaming stuff and why it's interesting. And yeah, we update the game a ton. We're very, very active within the community. We want feedback from you guys on what to build. And we're just trying to make the best game possible to make Web3 gaming work.
Wow. You know, I've been talking with around several Web3 games or developers, but kudos because you guys are the most active one, creating updates and features to your game. So yeah,
I appreciate it. It's hard. But
I think that is very unique and special to the or add spice to the players because it gets bored along the time, right? So I think updating and also when I checked your game, you guys are also have this mini events like the last time December you had the Christmas. Yeah,
we do a ton of live ops events. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's cool. Yes. Thank you so much. Look, those are only my questions. Kudos to your team, and I'm looking forward for more updates, more features coming to this game Pixels.
Great. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.